Hello from North Wales for a triathlon with a difference, where the local terrain is rocky and unforgiving, and the athletes will have to be just as tough. Welcome to Slateman. With its swim in the Snowdonian waters, it's an early season icebreaker for the athletes. And with mountains of Snowdonia to climb as well, this is definitely not a race for the faint-hearted. "750 athletes have signed up to enjoy the Welsh welcome. Let's join your commentator, Patrick Winterton, and get a closer look at what lies ahead for the athletes.
Welcome to the Snowdonia National Park, hosting the Slateman for the second time. The athletes get it underway with a 750-metre swim and then the bike ride, 51 kilometres, which includes the climb up the Llanberis Pass. They finish it off with an 11-kilometre run that is as tough as any on the circuit.
I'm joined by Tim Lloyd, race organiser of the Slateman. Hi Tim, what a fantastic event. Just tell me a little bit about the background and how the race started. It's in its second year.
Yeah, last year was our first year. Basically, it was an idea that I had and a friend of mine locally. I've been travelling the world to events for about the last 15-20 years, and we wanted to bring some of these sort of classic, beautiful events back to Wales, North Wales. I'm a local man from here, from the village in Llanberis. And we thought, well, what better place than the beautiful lake here? We've got this incredible slate quarry, which is absolutely unique.
And what do you think are the biggest challenges that the athletes are going to face here?
Well, the water is cold, which is going to be quite tough. There's some big climbs on the bike, so we go over the Llanberis Pass and then we climb up over the Ogwen Valley, they're both sort of quite tough climbs. But the sting in the tail is really the run through the quarries at the end. They've got an 11k run. They have to climb up to the top of the quarry, and it's very, very tough.
I think that's been talked about quite a lot, isn't it? The fact that the athletes go straight out, and within the first mile they have to run something like 1,000 feet or something. Yeah,
and of course that's what we're trying to do. We want to be different. We want to give that extra challenge, even though the triathlon distances are relatively short. When you take into account the amount of climb and the terrain that having to go over with rough ground and whatnot, then it's quite tough.
But the road surface looks brilliant. Driving down, it looks really good. The climb you talk about, the Llanberis Pass, that's going to be tricky too for the athletes as well, because they're kind of pretty much straight out of the water and it's uphill for 10k or so.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that this is the sort of Tour de France of triathlons. It's the climbs are tough on the bike, and it's and again that's what we want. That's what we wanted to achieve here, was to make it tough, to make it difficult, so that when people finish the event, they get this fantastic feeling of euphoria that they've done it. They've done the Slateman.
Well, we had 350 athletes last year. This year, the entry has more than doubled. 750 athletes ready to go, and the swim, of course, the first discipline. Now, it's been cut because of the cold conditions from 1,000 to 750 metres, and that will suit Peter Brook, the champion from last year. His main rival will also be Chris Stanage, both of them from the Triathlon Club of the Year, Chester.
A little bit of pressure. I think they just put on a brilliant race last year. It was tough conditions. I had a good crack at it and I managed to beat Chris. I don't think he's going to give it to me quite so easily this year. I think the pressure's on him more than me, because he knows on paper he should have me, but it's a tough course and I think it suits me, the course. I'm just going to give it everything. The area that it's in, you can't help but smile as you're racing round it. Even if you have a bad day, you just can't help but enjoy your race. If I'm going to win it, it's going to have to be on the run. I definitely won't be leading coming in off the bike, I know that. We raced together in the pool, we trained together, so I know what he can do.
Last year, you probably won't want to be reminded, but you led the race, and around about a kilometre ago, you got overtaken by Peter Brooks, and so obviously you're going to not let that happen again this year.
I'll be trying my damnedest. I think I would say that over the last few years, I'm the one that's been around for the longest. So I'm the one with the background, and so he's kind of the up-and-coming guy. And every year he takes this extra 30 seconds to a minute, and closes the gap. So, I fully expect him to be there, to see what happens.
Chris trying to get his own back after last year's defeat, but he'll have to get ahead in the swim, and they're just about underway. 750 metres to go. Last year, the winning time for the total race, 2:28.03, with no wind and much better conditions. They should be able to beat that significantly. So with the open men underway, the veterans and the women still to start their race.
This is where it is, isn't it, for Llanberis? This is just the atmosphere and everything.
Once you're in the water, everything's fine, but it's just that bit beforehand that you get really nervous.
We know all about the men in Chester Tri Club, but they're hoping for great things from Bethan Hughes, who's one of the favourites in the women's field.
You raced here last year and finished top 10, so you do know a bit about the course. What are your feelings on it?
The weather's a lot nicer than it was last year. The wind last year was horrendous, so that's good. I'm probably a bit fitter and a bit stronger this year, so hopefully that'll be good.
Pretty apprehensive, to be honest. It's the first triathlon I've done in this sort of distance, so a bit nervous, and it's very cold.
It's a sign of the event's appeal that both the elite and beginners have signed up.
This is my first triathlon and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm pretty good on flat and I'm terrible on hills, but you know, it's a good character building experience.
It's absolutely gorgeous. I've just camped last night up on the hillside and had a view over the lake, and it's been absolutely amazing.
Come all the way up from Portsmouth now, that's quite a long way. What's attracted you to this race?
Well, it was the location really, because I love Wales, this beautiful area, and I've not really done many mountains before.
The 750 metres taking just over 11 minutes for David Langston. That is a fantastic swim, and he's got a little bit of open water between himself and the rest of the field. Sam Blanchard also up in the chasing group, but Langston will have the luxury of T1 to himself. Now it's all about settling down, getting through the transition without making any mistakes and holding on to the lead that he's worked so hard to gain. Here come the masses. Blanchard is in there, Mitchell wearing 7 is there. And Standage is there as well from Chester. 12:38 his time out of the water. He's just over a minute behind Langston. I think he'll be reasonably happy with that, but what he's really worried about is how much of a gap he's put between himself and Peter Brook, and we'll keep an eye out for Brook when he comes out of the water. Bikes, helmets, glasses, all ready to go. You certainly can't win the race in the transition, but you can lose it. So away goes David Langston. And although he's not renowned as a fast cyclist, we'll see if the lead does things to spur him on. Mitchell underway, and of course we're waiting for Peter Brook. Here he is coming out of the water, the defending champion, roughly a minute down on Chris Standage, and I think he'll be happy with that position. Here is Standage in the white top, leaving T1. This is where he's got to gain his advantage. He is the strongest cyclist, but has he got it in him today? Peter Brook needs some good drills here. He's a man who's very, very familiar with this course. He trains here a lot, and of course he raced last year.
It's tough. You've got a few K to get into it before you hit this big climb. I think it suits me. You just got to get into a rhythm, keep enough for the rest of the bike, but just work at it. I think you can potentially make up time on some other guys. I'm not a super strong swimmer, so it's a place where hopefully I'll get to the top of that pass and I've made up a few places and try and get myself somewhere near the running of where I want to be.
Peter Brook exiting T1, a long run on the tarmac before he can mount the bike and start his challenge and try and close that gap down on Standage. The masses coming out of the water, and what a fantastic turnout this year. And no surprise, having had the event voted number 2 in the best triathlon in the UK last year, they'll be hoping to move up a place in that competition this year. The women's field is very open. Roxburgh, who won last year, is not racing this time round. And so plenty of people fancying Bethan Hughes to take the title. These women racing the full distance. There is an option for a sprint event for those who feel they don't have the endurance or are just wanting to get to learn triathlon. Great opportunity for them. Wearing the aero helmet is Chris Standage, who is chasing the leading swimmers now as we have a look at the profile, that big climb, the first one up Llanberis Pass. And they get some stunning scenery as well as they descend Ogwyn Valley. So from 5th, he's gone into 4 and just going past David Langston now, who was the first man out of the water. And it won't be long before Standage goes ahead of Mitchell, number 7, to be the race leader, just as he planned at the start of the race.
your heart's pumping and you got to try and feel your legs straight away, and then up the climb, I think you just got to try and relax a little bit up there, not get too excited too fast.
Well, he's trying to hold himself back on the first climb. He knows there is a second climb to come. Difficult to lead this sort of race. He won't have any information on this man, Peter Brook, who is pushing incredibly hard. It's not textbook technique from Peter Brook, but the work rate is phenomenal. And look at the speed that he's going past the other riders. Much lower saddle position for Peter Brook. That will help him on the descent, certainly. And just compare it with Chris Stanige's when we see that again. Here is Chris. Very steady head position. Just back from his honeymoon, which I think might have disrupted his training a little. That will certainly play into Peter Brook's hands.
Pete's a bit of a mountain goat, so I'll be aware of what happened last year and just be trying to push a little bit harder on the bike probably, and keep going on the run, and hopefully he won't be there in the last K this year, but who knows.
Stanage has to maintain the work rate to the top of Llanberis Pass, because Peter Brook is a brilliant runner and he will gain on the final section, but he looks as though he's enjoying the bike ride as well.
It's one of those bike courses where it's a steep, hard climb, and then the descent is just over several miles and nice and shallow, so you can actually get your head down and get some decent speed up. So it's not too difficult in the way of corners. You can see the corners. It's not like you're having to put on the brakes too much. There's a couple of awkward corners, but generally it's a really fast descent where you're just working away, trying to get some power up and trying to get the speed up.
Well, there are plenty of athletes who aren't thinking in terms of winning this one. They just want to survive it. They want to reach that finish line in 2.5, maybe even 3 hours time. Cool drinks welcome this year, very much in contrast to last year's conditions. This is Andrew Hazard of Northern Ireland, a man who's going to attempt 10 Ironmen in 10 days in July. Astonishing.
Today's going to be a walk in the park for you, isn't it?
Absolutely not. This is much too fast of a race for me.
Well, 63 kilometres should be a breeze for Hazard today. We'll catch up with him later on. The leaders, meanwhile, pushing their way down the first of the descents. Chris Standage has looked good so far, but there's no doubt that the man putting in the work is Peter Brook. I'm not sure Standage knows what's coming. These are two major contenders. Paul Mountford being overtaken by a very fresh-looking Arthur Connell, both of them looking for a podium place today. But the big surprise is that Peter Brook already has visual contact with Chris Standage in front of him. And look at that, he's blasting past to take the lead on the bike section, and no one was expecting that, least of all Peter Brook. What a fantastic race. Last year he did all the work and gained all the places on the final run phase. Now Standage looks to be in trouble. He has to regroup, and I guess he's got to decide what his tactics are. He's not going to give up the fight quite yet. Back into the lead for Standage, but the very fact that Brook is there will mean that Standage is going to have to produce the run of his life if he's going to win here this year. A look of concern on his face. Brook is a particularly good descender, shrugs his shoulders, and he knows that he's got a fight on.
What's the game plan now?
I think let him do the hard work and let him drag me in. He's a strong biker. I didn't expect to be here. It was going better than planned.
Do you reckon you're going to have him on the run?
Oh yeah. Just out a bit of pain.
Brook immensely confident about his running, and I guess it's justified if you can remember how good he was on the steep climbs last year. Standage in front. Can he hold it on the descent? He's got a very high seat position, so slightly worse off aerodynamically, and Brook taking full advantage of that. Ups the gears, grinds it out, and opens up a gap of some 50 metres in the space of 10 seconds. Brilliant riding from Peter Brook, who's now trying to go for glory a good, half hour earlier than he was expecting it. The Mountain Goat, he was called by Chris Standage.
The game plan's gone totally out the window, to be honest, because I would have liked to have had 2 or 3 minutes on the run. So I haven't really got the legs to really do any damage now, so just hang in there as long as possible.
Standage has to hang on in there because Peter Brook might well have gone too fast too soon in this Slateman Triathlon. Remember, the final phase, the run in the quarries, is brutal, and it's coming up right after the break. Welcome back to the Snowdonia Slateman Triathlon. Only the second time that this event's been held, but already it has a fantastic reputation. Peter Brook has been the star of the show so far. A fantastic bike ride has put him into pole position, and he certainly wasn't expecting that. The run is his forte, and that's coming up next.
I'm a runner, so it suits me. I think it helps when you're a little bit shorter and a little bit lighter, so I'm just going to attack the run course, enjoy it, and just see how I get on with that. You can't help, especially when you're descending. It's so fast and so technical that you just swoop down the valley, so it's just really good fun.
So Brook enjoying the race so far. Standage is well below par and should really have had a 2-3 minute lead going into this final phase. Look how tough the run is. They get a kilometre or so of easy running along the lakeside, and then the massive climb up through the slate quarry to the viewpoint at the top. It's steep, it's slippery. Standage does not look as though his legs are up for it. Peter Brook pounding out the steps as he climbs all the time, pulling away from Chris Standage, who is now in danger of dropping down into 3rd place because it's a fantastic run from Paul Mountford. Peter Brook said the descents were fast, and he's certainly living up to that. What a brilliant descent, very technical, but he's confident in these conditions. Good technical running from Brook and a fantastic performance by Mountford, who's now up into 2nd, having been off the scene for 4 or 5 years. Fresh, no doubt. He goes past one of the women on the sprint course. And there are many, many others just starting the steep climb at the bottom of the quarry. Andrew Hazard, the multiple Ironman to come, he hopes in July. Well, he's certainly not built for this sort of run, but it's good training.
I deliberately avoided checking out the run course yesterday, but I've chatted to a few of the guys here and they said the zigzags up through the quarry to start with can be pretty tough going. You know, a sprint triathlon, in inverted commas, there's not many sports in the world where a sprint is going to take you over an hour, and this is closer to Olympic distance, so, you know, there's a good 2-3 hours work to do out there today.
He's going very, very well, and he'll enjoy the beautiful scenery in the Padan Country Park, as will some of the athletes.
Awesome.
Others have pushed themselves a little hard. This is becoming a regular fixture on many, many amateur triathletes' programme for the year. And no wonder. Peter Brook, no doubt, will be back for more after 2 successes on the trot. He won last year comfortably in a time of 2:28. This year he's going to be about 8 minutes quicker with 100 metres to go. He still looks as fresh as he started 2 minutes ago. A brilliant run from Peter Brook, but it was really the bike ride that did the damage to the rest of the field this year. The fastest on the bike, the fastest on the run, and an easy victory to make it 2 on the trot. Paul Mountford, who is a very, very promising triathlete back in 2004, 2005. He makes his comeback here in 2012, and he's got to be delighted with the way things have gone. One of the sprint competitors finishing just behind Mountford, and we believe Standage is still in 3rd place. Here he comes. It's not been his day. He swam well enough, only a minute off the lead coming out of the water. But Llanberis Pass at the start of the bike really was his undoing. And I think he's struggled, not just physically, but mentally as well since then. can't win them all. Ben Butler outsprints Arthur Connell to claim 4th place this year, and Connell is shattered. Great effort.
That's a finish. Get in.
Everyone finds something a little extra over the last 100 metres. The first woman, Bethan Hughes, secures the victory in the 2nd ever Snowdonia Slateman. A fine performance and another victory for the Chester Tri Club to celebrate. And only 15 seconds clear of Rosemary Bide, who claims 2nd place in the women's event.
Yeah, absolutely delighted. Yeah, came expecting to, have an okay race, but never thought in a million years I'd win it. So yeah, absolutely delighted. It's first race I've ever won, so yeah, really, really pleased. It's great.
Let's have a look at the women's results. Bethan Hughes it is, claiming that victory, 2:51.26 her time. Rosemary Bide just behind, and Sarah Rose getting on the podium some 3 minutes adrift. In the men's event, Peter Brook with a sensational time, 2:20.23, 7.5 minutes quicker than last year's inaugural event. Paul Mountford a good comeback on the final stage to claim 2nd, and last year's runner-up, Chris Standage, having to settle for 3rd.
I got married 3 weeks ago, been on honeymoon and wasn't allowed to take my bike with me, so apart from the odd run on the treadmill in Vegas, and I haven't really been able to get that much training in, but no excuses. Pete was on me in no time at all on the bike, and he's definitely the stronger runner, so I was up against it today, yeah.
It's brilliant for me. I mean, as I say, I've had 5 years out without racing, and this is my first race back, so I'm really pleased. I think you just got to sort of focus and take every step as it comes, really.
Yeah. Oh, even tap on his shoulder.
Peter, just tell us how you're feeling after a 2nd victory.
I'm really happy. I didn't expect it, to be honest. You love it and you hate it at the same time. It's so tough. The climbs just will break your legs, and then suddenly you'll get a bit where you're flying down the hill and you love it again. I love the course. Anyone who races this is going to it's one of those races you come back and do again and again and again. I think it's my favourite race of all the races I've done. You don't get better than this.
Well, not everyone can find out what it feels like to be a winner, but everyone enjoying the event here today. And certainly if you want to challenge, the Snowdonia Slateman is one that will push you all the way.
Well, over 700 amazing athletes have swam in a very, very chilly Lake Paddon. They've also biked up one of Wales's highest mountain passes and then raced over one of triathlon's toughest run courses. It's been an amazing display of multi-sport racing. Until next year, it's goodbye from Slateman.